Radial nerve. The radial nerve is the largest branch of the brachial plexus and derives fibers from C5 to T1. Coming to its course. The radial nerve arises in the axilla as a terminal branch of the posterior cord of the brachial plexus. In the axilla, it gives off three branches: the posterior cutaneous nerve of the arm, nerve to the long head of the triceps, and nerve to the medial head of the triceps. Then it enters the arm at the lower border of the teres major and passes between the long and medial heads of the triceps to enter the lower triangular space. Then it passes down and reaches a spiral groove of the humerus. In the spiral groove, it gives off the following branches: lower lateral cutaneous nerve of the arm, posterior cutaneous nerve of the forearm, nerve to the lateral head of the triceps, nerve to the medial head of the triceps, and nerve to the anconeus. At the lower end of the spiral groove, the nerve pierces the lateral intermuscular septum and enters the anterior compartment of the arm. It descends between the brachialis and brachioradialis. Branches in the anterior compartment of the arm are as follows: nerve to the brachialis, nerve to the brachioradialis, and nerve to the extensor carpi radialis longus. It reaches the lateral epicondyle of the humerus and enters the cubital fossa, where it divides into deep and superficial branches. Branches in the cubital fossa are as follows: nerve to the extensor carpi radialis brevis, and nerve to the supinator. The deep branch of the radial nerve, also known as the posterior interosseous nerve, passes through the supinator muscle and enters the posterior compartment of the forearm to supply all of the extensor muscles of the forearm. Branches in the posterior compartment of the forearm are as follows: nerve to the extensor digitorum, nerve to the extensor digiti minimi, nerve to the extensor carpi ulnaris, nerve to the abductor pollicis longus, nerve to the extensor pollicis longus, nerve to the extensor pollicis brevis, and lastly, nerve to the extensor indicis. It also gives articular branches to the distal radial ulnar, wrist, and intercarpal joints. The superficial branch, also known as the superficial radial nerve, is sensory and runs downwards between the supinator, pronator teres, flexor digitorum superficialis, and brachioradialis. About 7 centimeters above the wrist, it passes posteriorly, emerging under the tendon of the brachioradialis. Then the nerve passes over the anatomical snuff box and terminates as cutaneous branches, providing sensory innervation to the lateral part of the dorsum of the hand and dorsal surfaces of the lateral 3.5 digits, proximal to the nail bed. Now, coming to the clinical application. The radial nerve may be injured at different sites throughout its course. Radial nerve injury in the axilla. The radial nerve may be injured in the axilla by compression of the nerve. Some common examples are crutch palsy. Here, pressure is exerted on the nerve by the upper end of the crutch. Saturday night palsy. Here, the nerve is compressed when an intoxicated person passes out on a chair with their arm hanging over the armrest of the chair. This causes compression via the tendon of the latissimus dorsi as the nerve passes below it and results in temporary radial nerve paralysis. The associated clinical features are as follows: motor loss. There is loss of extension of the wrist due to paralysis of the wrist extensors, causing wrist drop. This is due to the unopposed action of the flexors of the forearm, resulting in decreased grip strength. Inability to extend the elbow due to paralysis of the triceps. Loss of extension of the digits due to paralysis of the extensor digitorum, extensor indicis, extensor digiti minimi, and extensor pollicis longus. Inability to supinate in an extended elbow. This is due to paralysis of the supinator and brachioradialis muscles. However, supination becomes possible when the elbow is flexed due to the action of the biceps brachii. Sensory loss. Loss of sensation is present on a small area of skin on the posterior surface of the lower part of the arm. This is due to paralysis of the posterior cutaneous nerve of the arm and lower lateral cutaneous nerve of the arm. Along a narrow area on the back of the forearm due to paralysis of the posterior cutaneous nerve of the forearm, and on the lateral aspect of the dorsum of the hand at the base of the thumb and dorsal surface of the lateral 3.5 digits. This is due to paralysis of the cutaneous branches of the superficial radial nerve. Now coming to radial nerve injury in the spiral groove. The radial nerve may be injured in the spiral groove due to midshaft fractures of the humerus, wrongly placed intramuscular injections, or direct pressure on the radial nerve. Most commonly, the radial nerve is injured at the distal part of the groove, beyond the origin of the nerve to the triceps and cutaneous nerves. So, extension at the elbow and sensory innervation on the back of the arm and forearm are spared. Characteristic clinical features here are motor loss, loss of extension of the wrist and fingers, wrist drop, and loss of supination in an extended elbow. Sensory loss on a small area over the dorsum of the hand between the first and second metacarpals. Now, radial nerve injury at the elbow, also known as radial tunnel syndrome or entrapment neuropathy of the posterior interosseous nerve. Here, the extensor carpi ulnaris is usually affected. Hence, any attempted wrist extension causes radial deviation. This is also characterized by weakness of finger extension, thumb extension, and thumb abduction. Pain over the extensor aspect of the forearm is seen. Radial nerve injury at the wrist. This is commonly seen in cases of wrist lacerations and results in sensory loss on the dorsum of the thumb with no motor deficits.